Hello, we're back in Habakkuk. So we're going to read from, we might read verse 4 again. I know we did verse 4 last time, but it's all kind of one section. And what God, remember, Habakkuk has been shocked by God's answer to his first complaint, which was said he was going to raise up Babylon and send Babylon against Jerusalem. And Habakkuk wasn't particularly enamoured by this knowledge, or this revelation. And then God has been saying to him that, look, the revelation waits an appointed time, but it will happen, and the righteous will live by faith. And now he's going to say, look, he's kind of saying to Habakkuk, I know exactly what Babylon is like. So let's read this. We'll read from verse 4. See, the enemy is puffed up, his desires are not upright, but the righteous person will live by his faithfulness or by faith. Indeed, wine betrays him. That's the enemy, not the righteous person. He is arrogant and never at rest, because he is as greedy as the grave, and like death is never satisfied. He gathers to himself all the nations and takes captives all the peoples. God there just essentially saying to Habakkuk, I know exactly what Babylon's like. I know what she's doing, because this is what she was doing. She was conquering nations left, right and centre. It says, well, not all of them taunt Babylon, and with ridicule and scorn, saying, woe to him who piles up stolen goods, and makes himself wealthy by extortion. How long must this go on? Will not your creditors suddenly arise? Will they not wake up and make you tremble? Then you will become their prey. Because you have plundered many nations, the peoples who are left will plunder you. For you have shed human blood, you have destroyed lands and cities and everyone in them. So what God's saying there is what Babylon has done to other nations will end up being done to her, to Babylon. Much the same as happened with Nazi Germany. What she did to Russia, Russia did to her. And then, of course, there were plenty of attacks from the Western allies as well, but it was particularly what the Russians did, which was the most terrible things that happened to Nazi Germany. But it was essentially payment for what she had done to nations in Eastern Europe. And then verse 9, woe to him who builds his house by unjust gain, setting his nest on high to escape the clutches of ruin. You have plotted the ruin of many peoples, shaming your own house and forfeiting your life. The stones of the wall will cry out, and the beams of the woodwork will echo it. So Babylon had used unjust means to establish her kingdom, her empire. And it says, woe to nations that do that. They may seem to reign for a short time, for a time. But their so-called empire or kingdom will come to ruin. Woe to him who builds a city with bloodshed and establishes a town by injustice. Has not the Lord Almighty determined that the people's labour is only fuel for the fire? That the nations exhaust themselves for nothing. For the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. Now you're probably aware of that last bit. The earth being filled with the knowledge of the Lord, and the glory of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. You may not be familiar with the context within which it was given. It is God's glory, God's kingdom that will prevail. His kingdom is the only one that will stand forever. Woe to him who gives drink to his neighbours, pouring it out from the wineskin till they are drunk, so that he can gaze on their naked bodies. You will be filled with shame instead of glory. Now it's your turn. Drink and let your nakedness be exposed. The cup from the Lord's right hand is coming round to you, and disgrace will cover your glory. The violence you have done to Lebanon will overwhelm you, and your destruction of animals will terrify you. For you have shed human blood, You have destroyed lands and cities and everyone in them. Of what value is an idol carved by a craftsman, or an image that teaches lies? For the one who makes it trusts in his own creation. He makes idols that cannot speak. Woe to him who says to wood, come to life, or to lifeless stone, wake up. Can it give guidance? It is covered with gold and silver. There's no breath in it. The Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth be silent before him. Sometimes people mock the Bible, saying it's superstitious or it's naive. If you look at the Bible verses as we've just read there, the Bible is utterly scathing of idols. He says, what they're going to do? You created them. How can you expect them to give you anything? It is foolishness to worship something we have created. We should worship the one who created us. Amen.